When she said she wanted freedom, she thought she was asking for something beautiful. Freedom to explore, to see what else was out there, to live without the weight of commitment. In her mind, the grass on the other side wasn't just greener, it was endless. She expected you to fight for her, to convince her to stay, to make promises you'd never let her go. She thought you'd panic at the thought of losing her, that you'd chase her even as she pulled away. But you didn't. You didn't beg. You didn't plead. You let her have exactly what she asked for without resistance. Because in Stoic Savage fashion, you understand that when someone wants freedom, the most powerful thing you can do is open the door and step aside. Not to be cruel, not to punish, but because you know what she doesn't. Freedom without direction eventually becomes emptiness. And here's the part she never saw coming. The excitement fades. The novelty wears off. The so-called freedom becomes quiet nights staring at a phone that doesn't light up like it used to. The faces change, but the connection doesn't feel the same. Now she's lonely. And you're not the same man she walked away from. You've been building, growing, and creating a life so full that her absence isn't a wound. It's just an empty seat at a table that's already taken. If you've ever had someone walk away thinking they'd be better without you, this message will change the way you handle it. Watch until the end. And if this already speaks to you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. I never chase freedom that left. Now, the shock of no resistance. Let's begin. Number 1. The shock of no resistance. When someone says they want freedom, they often expect a fight. They expect you to question their decision, to remind them of everything you've built together, to throw every emotional card on the table in hopes they'll bow. Consider, that's what most people do. They resist. But when you give no resistance, you break the script they were prepared to follow. You don't argue. You don't make grand speeches. You don't tell them they'll regret it. You simply step back and let them walk toward what they think they want. That moment hits differently because without a struggle, there's no drama to justify their decision. There's no performance to point to later and say, "See, this is why I left." Instead, there's just the eerie quiet of you refusing to fight for someone who's already halfway out the door. The shock comes from the realization that you were strong enough to let them go without crumbling, that your sense of worth didn't depend on keeping them in your life. It forces them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Maybe they weren't as central to your world as they thought. This is the first crack in the fantasy of freedom, because the rush of independence feels different when the person you left behind doesn't chase you and might never look back. Freedom feels different alone. Number 2. Freedom feels different alone. When she first steps into her freedom, it feels like a rush. There's no schedule to follow, no compromises to make, no one to answer to. She fills her time with new faces, new places, and new distractions. It's exciting for a while, but there's a difference between being free with someone in your corner and being free alone, and eventually that difference shows itself. The people she meets don't know her like you did. The conversations are surface level, the attention is fleeting, and the novelty that once felt thrilling starts to feel hollow. See, real freedom isn't just about removing constraints. It's about having something meaningful to come back to. Without that, the open space she fought for starts to feel empty. Nights get quieter, messages get shorter, and the realization creeps in that freedom isn't as fulfilling when there's no one to share it with. This is where Stoic Savage power comes into play, because you're not sitting in the same spot, waiting for her to notice. You're moving forward. You filled your own life with growth, purpose, and people who actually value being there. So when loneliness finally catches up to her, she's not returning to the man she left. She's staring at the back of someone who's already gone. You let the silence do the talking. Number 3. You let the silence do the talking. When someone walks away for freedom, they expect some kind of noise to follow. They expect the texts, the calls, the late-night messages filled with questions. Even anger or bitterness still keeps them relevant because it means they're still living rentrée in your head. But when you go silent, you remove the comfort of knowing exactly where they stand with you. There's no emotional trail to follow. No breadcrumbs that lead them back to the certainty of your attention. Just empty space. Space they didn't think would feel so heavy. Silence is a strange thing. At first they may think it's temporary, that you're just giving them space before coming back around. But as days turn into weeks without a word, the silence starts to get louder. It forces them to wonder, are they really gone? Have they moved on? Was I just easier to leave than I thought? The beauty of this approach is that you're not silent as a tactic. You're silent because your energy is fully invested elsewhere. You're not holding your breath, waiting for them to notice. You're building, living, moving forward. And that genuine detachment is what makes the silence so deafening on their end. When you let silence do the talking, you stop giving them the script they were prepared for. Instead of hearing your voice chase after them, they hear the echo of their own choice. And over time that echo starts to sound like regret. Number 4. The illusion of options breaks down. 4. The illusion of options breaks down. When she chose freedom, part of the appeal was the belief of that options would be endless. More attention, more excitement, more people ready to give her what she thought she was missing. It's easy to believe when the idea of something is all you're looking at, not the reality. In the beginning, that illusion feels real. The novelty is intoxicating. But the truth is, attention without depth fades fast. The new faces start to blend together. The conversations don't carry the same weight. The connections don't have history, trust, or real investment behind them. And while she's chasing variety, she's also slowly realizing that variety isn't the same as value. The things that once made her relationship with you meaningful, loyalty, familiarity, shared growth, aren't replaced so easily. They're not something that just appears in a string of casual encounters or shallow flings. That's when the illusion begins to crack. She starts to see that what she thought was freedom might have just been a trade. Stability and depth for unpredictability and emptiness. And the most sobering part is this. By the time she sees it clearly, you're no longer standing where she left you. You've moved forward. And those options she thought she had, now you have them. Your life expands without her. Number 5. Your life expands without her. When she left for freedom, she imagined your life would shrink in her absence. She pictured the empty spaces, the lonely hours, the routines disrupted without her there. In her mind, your world revolved around her, so removing herself would leave a void you couldn't fill. But that's not how a Stoic Savage operates. You take those empty spaces and fill them with things she never expected. More time for the gym, more focus on your goals, more energy for new opportunities, new people, and new experiences that challenge and elevate you. Your life doesn't just recover, it grows. And because you're not sitting still, growth compounds fast. Every small improvement stacks on top of the last until you look around and realize your life now is bigger, fuller, and more exciting than it was when she was in it. Here's the part that cuts the deepest for her. The expansion of your life without her makes it clear that she was never the sole source of your happiness. She was part of your story, but not the whole thing. And now the story is moving forward without her. When she finally feels the loneliness that freedom brought, she'll compare her world to yours, and the contrast will be sharp. She chose space, but you turned space into expansion, and that's a difference she can't ignore. Loneliness hits harder in reverse. Number 6. Loneliness hits harder in reverse. At first she may believe that any loneliness she feels will fade quickly, that it's just part of adjusting to her new freedom. She might even think you'll be the one to feel it more and sooner, but loneliness has a strange way of working in reverse. For you, the initial emptiness becomes fuel. You fill your time, you improve yourself, you pour your energy into progress. Each day forward creates momentum, and before long the space she left behind is replaced with something better. For her, it's the opposite. The first days or weeks of freedom are loud, bright, and distracting. A flurry of new people, places, and experiences. But distractions burn out. They can't fill the deep need for meaning, connection, and belonging. And once the noise fades, the silence starts to creep in. That's when loneliness lands its hardest blow, not in the beginning, but later. When she realizes the world she left isn't chasing her, and the person she thought would always be there has moved on. And here's the kicker. By the time loneliness hits her, you're not just okay, you're thriving. The gap between where you are and where she is becomes too wide to ignore, and it's that contrast that turns regret into something permanent. Your absence gains value. Number 7, your absence gains value. In the beginning, she doesn't feel your absence as a loss because she's still surrounded by distractions. She still believes she can have the same excitement and validation without you. But over time, absence changes shape. What once felt like space starts to feel like missing when you're no longer available. Your stock rises. Every memory of the stability, the connection, the shared experiences becomes harder to ignore. And because you're not chasing, she has no new version of you to measure, only the one in her mind. That version grows in value precisely because she can't access it. It's human nature to want what's unavailable. When you were there, she could take you for granted. When you're gone, the scarcity flips the dynamic. Now your time, your energy, your presence have weight, and she has none of it. By the time she fully feels that loss, you've already built a life where her absence is no longer something you think about, and that's what makes it sting the most. She values you more now, but she's realizing it when you no longer need her to. 8. Freedom turns into regret. Number 8. Freedom turns into regret. In the early stages, freedom feels like an achievement, a prize she gave herself. No boundaries, no accountability, no one to check in with. She tells herself it's exactly what she needed. But the truth about freedom is this. Without purpose, it eventually turns into a void. And in that void, regret grows quietly. It doesn't come all at once. It creeps in through small moments. The night she's scrolling through her phone with no one she truly wants to text. The weekend plans that feel empty because the people she's with don't really know her. The sudden memory of how safe and grounded she felt when you were there. Regret is slow, but relentless. At first she'll try to push, it away, distract herself, convince herself she made the right choice. But with every reminder of what she gave up, the weight gets hit. And here's the most savage part. By the time that regret becomes undeniable, the version of you she misses no longer exists. You've grown, evolved, and stepped into a life where her return would be a disruption, not a reward. Her freedom cost her the place she had with you, and now there's no going back. Number 9. You became the one who got away. You became the one who got away. When she walked away, she believed she was the one in control of the story. She thought you'd always be a chapter she could revisit, someone who'd be there if she ever decided to turn back. But the truth is, the moment you didn't chase, the moment you chose growth over clinging, you began writing a new ending. Time passed and you didn't just heal, you leveled up. Your confidence sharpened. Your presence became more commanding. Your life began attracting opportunities and people that fit the man you were becoming, not the man she left. Now in her mind, you're no longer just you. You're the what if she can't shake. You're the living proof that she underestimated you, and that's a weight she has to carry, knowing she can't undo the choice she made. Becoming the one who got away isn't about revenge, it's about self-respect. It's about becoming so complete on your own that the idea of going back feels absurd, not because of bitterness, but because the man you are now deserves more than what walked away, and that's the final twist she never saw coming. The freedom she thought would make her limitless ended up costing her the one thing she can't replace. You, number 10. Her return would ruin your peace. Her return would ruin your peace. By the time she starts looking back, the landscape has changed. You're no longer the man standing still waiting for her return. You're a man in motion. Your days are full, your mind is focused, and your life is built on the solid ground of self-respect and discipline. When she reaches out, and she might, it won't be the same as before, because now you understand what peace actually feels like. You've built it from the ground up, and you've learned that not everyone deserves access to it. Letting her back in wouldn't restore what was lost. It would reintroduce the very chaos you worked so hard to rise above. Peace is expensive. You paid for it with heartbreak, discipline, and the courage to walk away from what didn't serve you. And once you've earned it, you don't hand it over cheaply. So even if the door was once open, now it's not just closed, it's locked, and you're not standing on the other side anymore. Her return might come with apologies, nostalgia, even the temptation of what used to be. But you know the truth. The man you are now didn't get here by looking back. She wanted freedom, and she got it. You wanted peace, and you built it. And that's why the story doesn't end with a reunion. It ends with you walking forward unshaken into a life where her absence is no longer a loss, but a blessing. She wanted freedom. You gave it to her, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Because a man who understands his worth doesn't cling to what chooses to leave. And now the tables have turned. While she's sitting with the silence she created, you're living in the abundance you built. Her freedom came at the cost of losing a man who grew into something far greater than she imagined. That's the essence of Stoic Savage living. Knowing that you are not defined by who stays or who leaves, but by the standard you hold for yourself. You protect your peace, you guard your energy, and you never apologize for walking away from anything that no longer serves you. So let her have her freedom. You take your peace. And watch how the man who once would have begged becomes the man she can never get back. If this message hit home for you, drop a comment below saying, "I protect my peace at all costs." Like this video and subscribe for more lessons in strength, self-mastery, and unshakable masculine power. Thank you for watching.